burst out laughing because as much as I would love CM Punk to come back, it's not happening, at least not anytime soon. Like, anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I read reports going on that this may have been just a catalyst to turn Shane heel. But from how things went on SmackDown, I guess they're kind of tossing that out the window of things he said. Or if anything, they'll just wait if he does actually turn heel. But all in all, just you look at this tournament in the long run and just think, what was the point? And then you just came to the realization there was no point in this. There wasn't anything beneficial happening here, other than just simply to begin promoting the builds for Survivor Series with the whole returning Raw versus SmackDown angle, which they weren't even planning on doing to begin with until Roman Reigns had to leave with the leukemia.
So here's a scholar's quick talk for you. What would you do? What's the first idea that comes to mind? What would you do with a heel Shane McMahon? Doesn't have to be the best or fleshed out idea. One of the first thoughts that comes in your head. What would you do with a heel Shane McMahon?
To be perfectly honest, I don't know. And fairly, I don't care.
I only have one idea, and I want to know what your honest opinion is of it. Put him against Becky Lynch. Because right now, Becky is super over. Sure, they're sort of playing around with her, but her momentum is just so good that if they're going to do another heel authority versus tweener, babyface, whatever, then I can't help but be curious to see what today's Becky Lynch would do in that kind of environment, especially against a guy.
I'd go for it, especially now that they're actually dropping the whole, oh, she's not a good person. She ditched her best friend Charlotte. They're dropping this. They're just basically acknowledging that, yeah, she is a badass, and even she's proving it. She's proving it even more with her promos against Ronda Rousey, which is another one I'm kind of looking forward to.
That is going to be a fun one.
Although I kind of have my own feeling on how that match is going to end, but we'll save that for next week.
Yes, the prediction show is on the horizon, but first, we got to get through this one. Which, continuing on down the rest of the card, speaking of some brain bleach, we got the Bar defeating the New Day.
As much you would think I would be ecstatic with this one, but when it comes to the Bar and New Day and their history of matches, this was honestly one of their weakest.
It was just that way.
It just was mainly it was just straightforward. They just did normal stuff. They didn't really, at least in my opinion, I feel like they didn't really do anything extravagant, stuff that I know the New Day and the Bar are fully capable of. They just went there. It's like, okay, just kill some time.
Yeah, this one seemed very paint by numbers, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't bad, but it was far from each team's best work. It was a show for the Saudi fans.
We know they're capable of so much more.
Absolutely.
But it's just one of those, once again, I'm going to say it was a glorified house show match.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this same feeling seemed to extend to the next match on the card. AJ Styles defeating Samoa Joe. This just seemed like, again, there was nothing new or different about it, it seemed.
It was short. That was the only real shocking thing about it, how short it was.
Yeah, it didn't have the same feel or vibe that this kind of blood feud really should have at this point. So it just seemed like someone just hit the pause button on this feud, and it's like, oh, the last match they had never happened. It's just, these guys still hate each other. Titles on the line.
Oh, Daniel Bryan doesn't want to work the show? Just throw Joe in. Just throw Joe in. Do stuff we know. Just do the by numbers match. And that's it. It was just straightforward. Clean. AJ Styles won clean, and now we get Brock Lesnar and AJ Styles for Survivor Series 2.
Which again, chicken salad, chicken shit. I get it. It's at least there's some silver lining to this. But I have to admit, I do need your help finding a silver lining on this next match. Brock Lesnar defeating Braun Strowman to become the Universal Champion again. Now, I get the point. This being a glorified house show, something to entertain the Saudi Arabian fans. I get it. But did you have to do my man Braun Strowman dirty like this? This was a squash. I know there was interference and all, but this whole thing just was really, really, really unsatisfying.
With the reports coming in recently with Braun Strowman getting some heat backstage for either coming in late, showing up late for work, or leaving work early and being basically his own worst enemy. You could see why they did this, and now it looks like they're just really completely downgrading him from being potential new face of the company to now starting a feud with Baron Corbin. And
I don't get it.
It's really a shame. It's really hard for Braun to really bounce back from this. I mean, this is his 6th Universal title match that he's lost? So it's Roman Reigns winning the Universal title all over again. We're reaching that point. It's like, okay, well, the glorious moment that Braun could have had is completely out the window. So when he finally does get it, it's like, oh well, it's kind of too late. Should have given it to him when he was just flying through the stars. When his momentum was at its peak. Now it is just, and now he's getting downgraded to having a blood feud with Baron Corbin, and it just hurt. And now with Brock Lesnar winning the Universal title again and showing up whenever, well, he's showing up this coming Monday for for the build for Survivor Series, but who knows when he's going to come back after that. And it's basically back to square one. And Seth Rollins said it best. It's like, it took away everything Roman built, and to the extent all that we went through seeing them basically have Roman get his crowning moment in winning the Universal title, and it's just like, oh, he has leukemia? Well, that's completely wasted. That was like, okay, all that was just so they can put the title back on Lesnar instead of giving it on a guy who actually would benefit with this crowning moment for him, and building a new top babyface to fill in Roman's spot until he comes back. Nope. We don't get that at all.
It should have. I've heard these reports. That to me is just a very dumb reason to pass up free money and a chance to make a whole new big baby face. It just feels like a holding pattern. I do not want to see Brock with the title anymore. I don't want to see Brock anymore. I want to see a whole new set of faces and a whole new set of scenarios. And now, just because someone's got a problem with when Braun is coming and going, that it just doesn't seem like a strong enough excuse not to elevate him as a star and asset to your company. I do not agree with it. I do not agree with it. And now we, the fans, have to pay for it, which is a big old crock of horsey BS. I don't even know what that means.
We don't have to know what that means.
Well, if only the WWE understood. But anyway, which brings us to our finale of Crown Jewel. D-Generation X defeating the Brothers of Destruction. I have no words.
I think Shawn Michaels said it best to Triple H after their match.
We're
too old for this.
Oh, yeah. It seems painfully obvious that everyone involved, try as they might, as talented though they might be, this was just all four of these men were just in it for the payday, which I'm sure it was very, very substantial, more than both of us will see in one shot in our lifetimes. But even so, I have to ask the question, was it worth it?
Doesn't look like it. To the point where Shawn was just basically was like, "Yep, I'm not wrestling again."
As well, he shouldn't. He should have never come out. I'm not going to get on my soapbox again, but I felt right from the start that he should have never come out of retirement for it. I'm sure it was an absolutely absurd amount of money, but which, good for him if you're getting fairly compensated and your family's in better shape than before. But at the same time, it's from a fan's perspective, from what I wanted to see, I wanted his legacy, all these guys' legacies, to remain untarnished and uninterrupted. None of these guys should have come out of retirement. Shawn Michaels should have stayed retired. Undertaker should have stayed retired when he had one of the most beautiful send-offs in wrestling that I've ever seen. Kane should have stuck to his guns and taken care of business in Knox County, Tennessee, and enjoyed his relatively good health. And Triple H should have done what he's been doing a fantastic job at and not have to worry about a pectoral tear.
Mm-hmm. So much for his match with Batista at WrestleMania. That match is out the window
and
now.
We lost that too. So I hope you're happy, Saudi Arabia.
Hey, bring Batista back in some form, because after that promo, I want to see Batista back.
I just want Josh Brolin to show up and snap his fingers, and he just loses.
Oh,
too soon?
No.
Seriously, if they want to do something at WrestleMania, just have Josh Brolin come in as a special guest, and it's like, "Hi, Dave." Just do something with him. That'd be hilarious.
Now it's just the question of what they will have him do.
I don't know. Just drop a Thanos joke and I'll be happy.
Don't save it for next year. Don't try and save a Triple H Batista match for next year. I think this match should have just been proof that as much as Triple H still wants to just keep going in the ring, and good for him on wanting to, but yeah, his body is just like, no, we can't do this anymore, man.
Know your limits.
Mm-hmm.
There's a substantial amount of wisdom to that. Undertaker even said it years and years ago. I want to hang up the boots before people start looking at me like, "Oh, you should have seen him when." Well,
I think it's come
Taker,
to that point.
It's at that point. Please hang it up, ride off into the sunset with dignity, and enjoy the rest of your life, please. And that goes for everyone. So that's all I really care to say. And after all that, Saudi Arabia Crown Jewel ended on not a bang, but with a whimper. So that being said, final facial hair ratings overall for WWE Crown Jewel.
Looking back on this one, I said it earlier, it was just a complete waste of time. Nothing big came out of this, and it doesn't develop any storylines in the future. Even, like I said, Shane McMahon winning the World Cup, could it possibly lead to a heel turn? Who knows? Doesn't look like it right now, because he's just saying he wasn't doing it to be the best in the world. He was just doing it so SmackDown can win. So Stephanie wouldn't win. That could be billed for Survivor Series, but it's a very thin connection. Braun losing so he can feud with Baron Corbin. Brock Lesnar winning so we don't see the Universal title anytime soon. This whole show was just nothing more than a complete waste of time. It was one of my worst. It was my worst prediction for 2018. It was just one of the worst shows so